Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Just getting done, I think, well, probably not, but I'd like to think that I've got the garden completely planted. I know it's late. It's late around here to be getting a garden finished, but we've had only about half of the garden planted, and there's just, the rain, it won't stop. Well, if you see this ram, I had to put him in a pen because he's being ornery, and now he doesn't like it. So we'll see if he can get back out again, or if he can get out. He's gonna, watch him. He's a pain in the hind end. Anyways, between all the rain and stuff, and then all this expo that we had put on, we just didn't get it all done. So today was push, and get things done. So all this and a lot more, because I only let you see a little bit, OPSEC. It's all planted. There's another secondary garden that I'm still working on, but the main big one is done. Anyways, that's not what I was going to talk about, so I don't know why I had to say that. Probably because that's the backdrop, and people usually ask questions, and it's like I have to explain everything when I make a video. But anyways, let's talk about where you're at, and are you in the best place that you can possibly be. I saw something today, and I've been really busy, so I haven't had a chance. In fact, I was thinking, and it's been really nice, because of this expo, and for like 4 days straight between setup, putting it on, and then tear down, I haven't done anything other than that. I mean, I was getting about 3 hours of sleep at night during that time period. And then since then, we've had our truck breakdown, and then I've been working on doing this kind of stuff. I haven't had really much time to even look at the news. I honestly, I couldn't tell you really a whole lot of what's going on in the world right now over the last 4 or 5 days, and it's been really nice. But anyways, I did see this, and what they're saying is which nothing new to you and I. We already knew this was the case. That the shortages, the gas shortages, and the gas prices are probably going to be worse than it was back in the 1970s. Some of you are old enough to remember that. Some of you lived through that, and you saw the people lined up in the gas stations because of rationing and shortages. And for that time period, for the going rate, the gas prices were just astronomical. And they're saying it's going to be worse than that by the summer. There's just all kinds of stuff, the shortages and prices that's just skyrocketing. We have just ongoing problems in every area, right? And then we have the whole Second Amendment, the gun thing, that I could be wrong. I know there's been some news out there making it sound like that things are going to get better for those of us that support the Second Amendment and the right to keep and bear arms. But I just have a feeling that they're going to really pull out all the stops to do everything they can to stop that, to make it difficult. They may not try to overturn the Second Amendment. They're going to make it difficult. Then there's the rumors of war with Russia, rumors of war with China, potential lockdowns. Who knows when that might happen again, and shortages and price increases. And, it could get bad enough that we could start seeing an increased amount of violence. Due to all of these things. People get hungry, they can't afford things, they can't afford gas, or it's in short supply, or there's wars, or all these problems could cause just the general public to become disgruntled and unsettled and more violent. And as I have said, and I've heard from many other prepping channels, that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing. The government isn't actually the worst thing you should worry about. It's the people. So I've said all of this for, 5 minutes now to say this. Are you living in the right place, the best place that you can to ride all of this out? I know the opinions vary from those of you watching this video right now, but there are definitely some that think that this is just a little hiccup in time, that this will, in a couple of years, maybe it'll go away and we'll come find a new normal again. There are others that think that this is it. You believe that we're in those end times, and I'm probably right there with you. Either way, I think we have some really tough times ahead of us, that we are that things are going to get bad. So based on that belief, based on the facts, the things that we know, are you living in the best place that you can possibly be to survive all that is happening that will come? Some of you are going to say no. Probably a lot of you are going to say no. And you're probably going to have a lot of excuses as to why you just can't do anything else. And some of them are probably legitimate excuses. I'm not going to discount that. I mean, I don't walk in your shoes, so it's none of my business. But I will tell you this, that you can do a whole lot more if you really set your mind to it. I understand there's jobs and there's family and there's money and housing right now everywhere has gone up. I mean, even here in the Ozarks, where we live in one of the lowest cost of living places in the country, it still has gone up considerably over what it was 2 or 3 years ago. I get that, but you know, there's possibilities that could change. For instance, pretty much now everyone I see and talk to and read and watch online believe that we are about to see the housing bubble burst. I mean, if I was a smart man, I might try to sell my house or my property right now as fast as I could and take that money and put it in the bank, put it somewhere where it's secure, but I could have access to it when needed, and just go live as cheap as possible. Get a cheap, the smallest, cheapest apartment or something like that, and then wait for the housing bubble to explode, and then buy a piece of property then. I mean, I think we're close enough now to do that, but that's not my business, it's your business. The point is that you can only be so secure. Damn, I feel like I'm getting eat up by the skeeters out here, sorry. You can only be so secure in a city or even a suburban area or a place where you can't do this. And you know, you're seeing just a little part of the whole property, but you see enough that this kind of stuff takes space. It takes space, it takes the right environment, and it also takes living in a place that allows you to do that. There are some really beautiful places in this country with lots of open land, but there's all kinds of restrictions not allowing you to live the way that God intended for man to live. And so you have to look at everything. You can't just look at, oh, you know, this place has some, you know, this region of the country, there's some really secluded, rugged land. Okay, how's the politics in that state? You know, can you live the way that you want to live? Because you have to live there now before it all collapses. What are their codes, building codes, restrictions? What are the people like? How's it going to fare if there are different types of disasters that could happen? What's the cost of living? Can you even afford to live there? There are places in this country that are beautiful, but can you afford to live there? There are places that you can get cheap land, but they don't have any resources. There's no water available. You need to do some research. Don't just move to a place because you think it's pretty. I saw recently in some kind of homesteading group online, well, not one that I run or anything, and someone was asking about, you know, moving to Washington State to homestead. And there were tons of people on there that were either from Washington State or recently moved from Washington State. And they're like, don't do it. Yeah, it's beautiful here. And yeah, there's some great land, the growing, everything's great. But the politics are awful. And there's so many restrictions now that you can't hardly live the way you want to live. And the cost of living is ridiculous. You have to factor in everything, folks. But the point is have you done that? Have you looked at where you're at and done a real serious analysis on what you're going to do long term, where you're at, how it's going to be, how the politics are changing, how resources, natural resources, growing seasons, rain, you know, we're dealing with a lot of droughts in a large amount of the country right now. Is one of those places, are you in one of those places? You know, if it gets worse, are you going to be able to grow like this because, you know, you don't have any water? There's no water. Oh, my wife is bringing me a glass of iced tea. See, this is the good stuff. Thank you. You have to think about these things, folks, and how secure are you? Now, here's another factor, because it's a big one. If, let's just play out a scenario. Let's say somehow, some way, they get some kind of national gun confiscation. It would probably be due to some national treaty or international treaty with, say, the UN, and then it came in and happened. Whatever. But let's create whatever hypothetical situation. Do you live in an area where the majority of the people around you that maybe you don't even know, that are complete strangers, are going to stand by you and fight that? Or do you live in an area that people are mostly moderate, people are even liberal, people, you know, guns isn't quite a big deal where you're at, you know, people are just kind of wishy-washy on that? Or if there was any kind of collapse, do you live in an area where, you know, you can't speak for everyone? I mean, I can't speak for everyone around here. But do you live in an area where the majority of the people would be able to survive and would pull together and to you know, not fight each other, but like come together and try to work with each other? That's a big deal. And there's a lot of places that have beautiful land, that have some nice resources, natural resources, but you won't find that, because too many places out there that are like that are filled with, you know, these, I don't even know what you call them, these rich, you know, skiing and wealthy people, that snobs and liberals. And I know I'm being pretty critical here, but it's true. I mean, it's just true. One of the reasons that I advocate that for the Ozarks of being a good place is that reason. I mean, we have great laws here, especially in Missouri. Missouri's laws are a little bit better than Arkansas when it comes to living this lifestyle. We definitely have great Second Amendment laws and great homeschooling laws, and the environment, the natural resources. There's lots of water. You know, all these things are great, but one of the greatest things I think about the Ozarks, not all, but large little splotches of the Ozarks, is just the people around. They don't want to be messed with. Most of the Ozarks was settled by people that were just getting away from the government that existed at the time back east. And there's so many people here, there's so much rich heritage, I think it's great, of anti-government people. You know, the whole moonshine era, I mean, it was huge here. I mean, NASCAR was invented in the Ozarks because it was moonshiners trying to get away from the revenuers. And there's so many people here, you might call them hillbillies, I don't care, that you may not know, but if push come to shove, if things started happening, they're gonna stand with you against tyranny. Not everyone, but I think there's a lot of people here that would. And so that is another factor that you have to look at when you're trying to get away from, you know, Babylon, which is really what you're doing. You're coming out of Babylon. Going back, I know it sounds like I'm kind of beating a dead horse, but going back to this expo we had last week, I couldn't tell you how many dozens of people that I spoke with that told me of how they just, you know, they had to get out of where they were. They had to move away, and they did. Some people did it very quickly. Some people prayed about it, and they really struggled with it. Many people, not all, but many people told me, and I've heard this story more times than I could count, that they felt the Father in heaven was pushing them to get away from where they were and pushing them into a place that they could survive, and the Ozarks was that place, or it was at least one of the places. If you can have tons of food stocked up and bullets and all that kind of stuff, but if you're in an area that you can't secure and produce some kind of a safety perimeter, and because you're right in the middle of a city, and then everyone around you is losing their minds, you know, worse than what we saw back when the BLM riots. How good is all those stockpiles of food going to do you, and all those bullets? I mean, you're one person or maybe two people. But when you move out like this, you don't have to worry as much about those things. And out here, while we certainly have our stockpiles of food, our big focus is producing our food, because the stockpiles of food's only going to last you so long. You need to get to where you're producing and preserving your own food. And it can be done in certain areas of the city and suburban, you know, lots and stuff. But trust me, it's way easier to do it when you're out away from all that. And again, are you in the safest place you can be to ride out this perfect storm that's upon us? And if your answer is no, you need to really be thinking about that. It doesn't have to be here in the Ozarks. There are other places, okay? I'm not saying everybody move to the Ozarks. I'm saying you can get out of the cities and find a place that's safe to live, and a place that you can actually be sustainable. Folks, get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.